Prologue. I knew I was in trouble the moment the door locked behind me. The sound echoed through the marble hallway, sharp, final, like the click of a trap closing. I stopped mid-step, my breath catching in my throat as silence swallowed the space around me. The kind of silence that pressed against your skin, heavy and suffocating. Outside, rain hammered against the tall windows, streaking the glass with shadows that moved like restless ghosts. I shouldn't have come here. But my father had given me no choice. Go to the Blackwell estate, he'd said, his voice flat and businesslike over the phone. Victor Blackwell wants to discuss a partnership. Partnership. The word tasted like ash in my mouth even now. My father didn't do partnerships. He did transactions. And I was starting to realize with a cold certainty that settled deep in my bones, that I was the one being sold. I turned slowly, my heels clicking softly against the polished floor. The hallway stretched before me, pristine, cold, lined with portraits of men who looked like they'd never smiled in their lives. Blackwell's probably. Generations of them, all with the same sharp jaw, the same calculating eyes. The same eyes that were watching me now. He stood at the far end of the hall, half hidden in shadow. I hadn't heard him approach. Hadn't felt him move. But there he was, tall, perfectly still, dressed in a suit so dark it seemed to drink the light. His face was all hard angles and controlled menace, handsome in a way that made your pulse skip, not from attraction but from warning. Victor Blackwell. I'd seen his photograph once in a business magazine my father kept on his desk. But no photograph could have prepared me for the reality of him. The way he occupied space. The way the air itself seemed to bend around him, as if even gravity knew better than to challenge his presence. He didn't speak. Didn't move. Just watched me with those cold dark eyes, patient and predatory, like a wolf who knew his prey had nowhere left to run. My hands trembled. I hid them behind my back. Mr. Blackwell, I managed, forcing my voice to stay steady. My father said dash. I know what your father said. His voice cut through the space between us, low, quiet, devastatingly calm. The kind of voice that didn't need to be loud to command attention. It slid over my skin like smoke, and I hated the way my body responded, the way something deep inside me went still and alert. He took a step forward. Then another. Each movement deliberate, measured, closing the distance between us inch by torturous inch. I forced myself not to retreat. Your father, he continued, his gaze never leaving mine, has debts he can't repay. Promises he can't keep. And I am not a patient man when it comes to broken promises. The rain grew louder. Or maybe it was just my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I don't understand what that has to do with me. Why? I understood perfectly. I'd understood the moment I walked through that door and heard it lock. Victor stopped 3 feet away. Close enough that I could see the faint scar along his jaw, the way his mouth curved, not quite a smile, but something darker, more knowing. Don't you? The question hung between us, sharp and dangerous. I swallowed. My throat felt tight, my lungs struggling to pull in air. The scent of him reached me, expensive cologne mixed with something darker, something that smelled like rain and smoke and control. My father's debts are his own, I said, lifting my chin. Not mine. Is that what you think? His head tilted slightly, a flicker of something, amusement? Curiosity. Passing through his expression. That you can simply walk away? I'm not dash. You're mine now, Miss Hartley. The words fell like stones. I froze. Completely. What? Your father signed the contract this morning. I own his company, his assets, his legacy. His eyes drifted down to my left hand where my fingers had curled into fists. And I own you. Oh. The denial rose in my throat, but I couldn't force it out. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the roaring in my ears. I'm not property, I whispered. Aren't you? He moved, then fast, fluid, too close, and suddenly his hand was at my jaw, tilting my face up toward the dim light. His touch was firm, controlled, but I felt the power coiled beneath it. The promise of what he could do if he wanted. My pulse hammered beneath his fingers. You will stay in this house, he said softly, his thumb brushing the edge of my cheekbone. You will wear my ring. You will stand beside me when I require it. And you will never try to run. I should have fought. Should have pulled away. But something in his voice, in the way he looked at me, froze me in place. Why? My voice cracked. Why me? For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something almost human. Almost vulnerable. But it was gone before I could name it, replaced by that cold, impenetrable mask. Because you're the only thing your father loves more than his own survival, Victor said. And I need him to understand what it means to lose everything. His hand fell away. I stumbled back, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. The room spun. My mind scrambled for escape routes, for logic, for anything that made sense. But there was nothing. No way out. No one coming to save me. Victor straightened his cuffs, his expression unreadable. Your belongings will arrive tomorrow. Mrs. Hale will show you to your room. You can't do this. He paused at the doorway, glancing back over his shoulder. The shadows carved his face into something almost inhuman, beautiful and terrible all at once. I already have. The door closed behind him with a soft, final click. And I stood alone in that cold, silent hallway, rain streaking the windows like tears, knowing with absolute certainty that my life as I knew it was over. Chapter 1. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every creak of the house, every whisper of wind against the windows felt like a warning. I lay in the enormous bed Mrs. Hale had led me to, a four-poster monstrosity draped in silk that probably cost more than my apartment, and stared at the ceiling until my eyes burned. The room was beautiful, suffocating. All cream and gold and soft lighting that did nothing to warm the cold knot in my chest. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. But the contract my father had signed, the one Victor mentioned with such casual cruelty, was real. I knew my father. Knew the kind of man he was. Ambitious. Reckless. The type who gambled everything on a single hand and walked away when the cards turned against him. Except this time he hadn't walked away alone. He'd left me behind. Morning light crept through the curtains, pale and gray. I forced myself upright, my body stiff from tension, and caught my reflection in the mirror across the room. I looked hollow. Dark circles beneath my eyes, hair tangled, skin too pale. I looked like a ghost. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Miss Hartley. Mrs. Hale's voice drifted through the door. Breakfast is ready. Mr. Blackwell is expecting you. Of course he was. I dressed quickly in the same clothes from yesterday, a simple black dress that now felt like morning attire. My hands shook as I smoothed my hair, as I forced my expression into something neutral. Something that wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing how afraid I was. I needed answers. No matter how much they hurt. Mrs. Hale waited in the hallway, her face kind but distant, the way servants learn to be when they work for dangerous men. She led me down a different corridor this time, through rooms that smelled of old money and older secrets, until we reached a dining room bathed in gray morning light. Victor sat at the head of the table. He didn't look up when I entered. His attention remained fixed on the newspaper spread before him, one hand holding a cup of black coffee. He'd changed into a different suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, but the effect was the same. Power. Control. Absolute certainty in every line of his body. I stood in the doorway waiting. He turned a page. Took a sip of coffee. The silence stretched. Sit, he said finally, still not looking at me. I wanted to refuse. Wanted to demand answers, to scream, to do something other than obey. But my legs moved on their own, carrying me to the chair at the opposite end of the table, as far from him as possible. A place setting waited for me. Fine china. Silver cutlery. Fresh flowers in a crystal vase. All the trappings of civility wrapped around a nightmare. Mrs. Hale appeared with a plate of food I couldn't imagine eating. Toast. Eggs. Fruit arranged like art. She set it before me with a small, sympathetic smile, then disappeared. Victor lowered his newspaper. Our eyes met across the expanse of polished wood. You didn't eat yesterday, he observed. I wasn't hungry. You're not hungry now either. It wasn't a question. His gaze flicked to my untouched plate, then back to my face. But you'll eat anyway. My jaw tightened. Is that an order? Do you want it to be? The question landed between us, sharp and loaded with meaning I didn't want to examine. Heat crept up my neck, not embarrassment, but something closer to anger. Or fear. Or both. I picked up my fork. Put it down again. I want to know why, I said quietly. My father's debts, there are other ways to collect. You didn't have to dash. Didn't have to what? Victor leaned back in his chair, the movement lazy, dangerous. Claim you as payment? Make you mine. I'm not yours. The contract says otherwise. A contract I didn't sign. No. He tilted his head slightly, studying me with that unnerving focus. But your father did. And in our world, Miss Hartley, that's more than enough. Our world. As if I belonged to it. As if I'd chosen this life of shadows and transactions, where people were currency and loyalty was bought and sold. I gripped the edge of the table. What do you want from me? For the first time, something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. Dark. Satisfied. Everything. The words settled over me like a shroud. I forced myself to breathe. There had to be a way out. There always was. I just needed time to find it. And if I refuse? My voice came out steadier than I felt. If I walk out that door right now? Victor set down his coffee cup with deliberate precision. The soft clink of porcelain against saucer seemed impossibly loud. Then I destroy your father completely. His tone didn't change, still calm, still quiet. His company. His reputation. His freedom. I have enough evidence of his illegal dealings to put him away for 20 years. Maybe more. My stomach dropped. You're lying. Am I? He wasn't. I could see it in his eyes, in the absolute certainty of his posture. Victor Blackwell didn't make empty threats. He didn't need to. So that's it. Bitterness flooded my mouth. I stay or my father goes to prison. Yes. That's not a choice. That's extortion. Call it what you like. He stood, buttoning his jacket with smooth, practiced movements. But understand this, Miss Hartley, I always get what I want. And right now what I want is you. He rounded the table. Each step measured. Controlled. My heart hammered as he stopped beside my chair, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You'll have your own room. Your own space. I won't touch you unless he paused, something dark flickering across his face. Unless you ask me to. Heat flared in my cheeks. That will never happen. Won't it? His hand moved slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushed a strand of hair from my face. The touch was gentle. Too gentle. Made something in my chest twist painfully. I jerked back. Don't. Victor's mouth curved. Not quite a smile, but close. You have 1 week to settle in, he said, withdrawing his hand. Then we have a charity gala to attend. Together. You'll need appropriate clothing. Mrs. Hale will arrange it. I'm not going to some dash. You are. The softness left his voice, replaced by steel. You'll stand beside me. You'll smile. You'll play the part of my devoted fiancé. And you'll do it convincingly, or your father pays the price. Do you understand? I understood perfectly. I was trapped. Victor headed for the door, then paused, glancing back. Oh, and Miss Hartley? Don't bother trying to contact your father. He's been advised not to speak with you. For his own protection, of course. Of course, I echoed hollowly. He left without another word. I sat there for a long time, staring at the food I couldn't eat, listening to the rain start up again outside. The house felt enormous around me. A beautiful cage. My phone sat in my purse, still where I'd left it yesterday. I pulled it out with shaking hands, opened my messages. 3 missed calls from my father. No voice emails. Then this morning a single text. I'm sorry. This was the only way. The only way to what? Save himself? Destroy me? I typed a response, my fingers clumsy. How could you do this? The message failed to send. I tried again. Failed again. Walked. Or no. Something else. I checked my signal. Full bars. But the number I'd texted my father at for years suddenly showed as disconnected. Victor had already thought of everything. My hands trembled as I set the phone down. Then, without thinking, I grabbed my plate and hurled it across the room. China shattered against the wall. Eggs and toast scattered across pristine hardwood. The destruction felt good. Necessary. But it changed nothing. I was still here. Still trapped. So, the door opened. I spoon. Expecting Victor. Expecting anger. But it was Mrs. Hale, her expression sad but unsurprised, already moving to clean up the mess I'd made. I'll bring you another plate, miss, she said softly. Don't bother. Mr. Blackwell insists you eat. Of course he did. Of course he'd anticipated this too. Mrs. Hale. I stopped her as she bent to collect the broken pieces. How long have you worked for him? She straightened slowly, measuring her words. 15 years. And in that time, Has he ever I struggled to find the right question. Has he ever done this before? Brought someone here against their will? Something flickered in her eyes. Pity maybe. Or warning. Mr. Blackwell is a complicated man, Miss Hartley. But he's not cruel without reason. She gathered the broken china onto a tray. If I may offer some advice? I nodded. Don't fight him on the small things. Save your strength for what matters. She left before I could ask what that meant. I stood alone in that perfect, suffocating dining room, surrounded by wealth I didn't want and trapped in a life I hadn't chosen, and wondered, what would matter? What could possibly matter when I'd already lost everything? And just as I turned toward the window, searching for anything beyond these walls, I saw him. Victor stood in the garden below, rain soaking through his expensive suit, his phone pressed to his ear. Even from here I could see the tension in his shoulders. The way his free hand curled into a fist. He looked up. Our eyes met through the glass. And for just a moment, one single breathless moment, I saw something in his face that wasn't control or cruelty. I saw hunger. Raw. Desperate. Almost human. Then his expression shuttered and he turned away, disappearing into the rain-soaked gardens. Leaving me alone with the terrible certainty that whatever game Victor Blackwell was playing, I was already losing. The ring arrived on the third day. I'd spent the previous 2 days exploring my cage because that's what this house was, no matter how beautiful. Marble floors. Vaulted ceilings. Art that probably belonged in museums. Every room perfect. Every corner cold. I'd found the library first. 3 stories of books with a rolling ladder and windows that overlooked the gardens. It should have felt like sanctuary. Instead, it felt like a tomb, all that knowledge, all those stories, and none of them could tell me how to escape. Then the music room. A grand piano sat in the center, untouched, its black surface mirror bright. I'd pressed a single key. The note hung in the air, pure and lonely, before fading into silence. I hadn't tried again. Now I stood in my bedroom, as if anything here could truly be mine, staring at the velvet box Mrs. Hale had placed on my dresser an hour ago. Mr. Blackwell requests your presence in his study at 7, she'd said, her voice carefully neutral. He'd like you to wear the ring. I hadn't opened the box. Hadn't touched it. But I couldn't stop looking at it. The clock on the mantel read 6:47. My hands were steady as I finally lifted the lid. Whatever I'd expected, some ostentatious display of wealth. A stone the size of my knuckle, this wasn't it. The ring was beautiful. Devastatingly so. A single diamond, flawless and cold, set in platinum so delicate it looked like lace. Understated. Elegant. The kind of ring that whispered rather than screamed, that spoke of taste and restraint in a man who knew exactly what he wanted. I hated how perfectly it fit when I slipped it on. The weight of it felt wrong. Fern. Like shackles disguised as jewelry. I needed to survive this dinner without letting him see me shake. Victor's study occupied the east wing of the house, a part one hadn't explored yet. Mrs. Hale led me through corridors lined with portraits of Blackwell ancestors, their painted eyes following my progress. Judging. Condemning. By the time we reached the heavy oak door, my pulse was racing. Mrs. Hale knocked once, then opened the door without waiting for a response. Miss Hartley, sir. She stepped aside and I had no choice but to enter. The study was exactly what I'd expected. Dark wood paneling. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A massive desk that looked like it had witnessed a century of ruthless business dealings. The scent of leather and smoke and expensive whiskey hung in the air. Victor stood by the window, his back to me, one hand in his pocket. He'd shed his jacket. His white shirt was rolled up at the sleeves, revealing forearms corded with lean muscle. He didn't turn when I entered. Close the door, he said quietly. I did. The soft click seemed to seal something between us. Some invisible contract being finalized. Silence settled. Heavy. Expectant. I stayed near the door, my hands clasped in front of me, the left hand deliberately hidden behind the right. Hiding the ring. Hiding the evidence of my surrender. Come here. It wasn't a request. My feet moved before I could decide whether to obey or defy. Some primal part of me recognized the command in his voice, responded to it even as my mind rebelled. I stopped 3 feet from him. Close enough to see the tension in his shoulders. Close enough to catch the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and smoke, dark and consuming. So he didn't turn. You're wearing the ring, he observed. You ordered me to. I requested. There's a difference. Is there? Bitterness crept into my voice. You've made it clear I don't have a choice in anything. Finally he turned. The impact of his full attention never lessened. Those dark eyes swept over me, assessing, cataloging, missing nothing. He saw the ring. Saw my clenched hands. Saw the careful mask I'd constructed over the past 3 days. And I knew with sinking certainty that he saw right through it. You always have a choice, Miss Hartley. He moved closer, slow and deliberate. The consequences are simply unpleasant. That's not a choice. That's coercion. Semantics. He stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. But if it makes you feel better to call it coercion, then do so. My jaw tightened. Why am I here? We're having dinner. In your study? I thought you'd prefer privacy. His gaze dropped to my left hand, still partially hidden. Let me see. It wasn't a request. Slowly I unclenched my hands. Let him see the ring on my finger. Victor's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Satisfaction maybe. Or possession. He reached out, giving me time to pull away, though we both knew I wouldn't, and lifted my hand. His touch was careful. Clinical. The pad of his thumb traced the band of the ring, then the stone, his skin warm against mine. It suits you, he murmured. It's a leash. It's protection. His eyes lifted to mine. The moment you wear my ring, you become untouchable. No one in my world would dare harm you. Except you. His jaw tightened. For a moment, something almost like anger crossed his face. Then it was gone, replaced by that impenetrable mask. I don't want to harm you, Elena. The sound of my name in his voice did something strange to my pulse. He'd called me Miss Hartley until now. Formal. Distant. This was different. Intimate in a way that made my skin prickle with awareness. Then let me go, I whispered. No. Simple. Final. Absolute. He released my hand and moved to the desk, where 2 place settings waited on the polished surface. Wine. Dinner under silver cloches. Candles that hadn't been lit yet. An intimate dinner for 2. My stomach churned. I'm not hungry. You haven't been hungry for 3 days. Victor pulled out a chair, not at the desk, but at a small table by the fireplace I hadn't noticed. Mrs. Hale is concerned. I'm concerned. You're concerned. I couldn't keep the incredulity from my voice. You've imprisoned me, blackmailed me, forced me to wear your ring, and you're concerned about whether I eat? Yes. The simplicity of it stunned me into silence. Victor gestured to the chair. Seat. Please. That last word, please, caught me off guard. A crack in his armor. A glimpse of something that might have been human underneath all that control. Against my better judgment, I sat. He took the chair across from me, close enough that our knees nearly touched. Close enough that I could see the faint shadow of stubble along his jaw, the way his dark hair fell slightly across his forehead. He looked tired, I realized. Strained in a way I hadn't noticed before. Good. I hoped I was making his life hell. Mrs. Hale prepared your favorite, he said, lifting the cloche from my plate. Chicken piccata. Roasted vegetables. Risotto that smelled like heaven. My favorite. How did you dash? I make it my business to know everything about the people in my life. His eyes met mine over the candlelight. Especially the ones I intend to keep. The words should have terrified me. Instead they sparked something else. Something dangerous that coiled low in my stomach and made my breath catch. I picked up my fork. Put it down. This is insane, I said quietly. You realize that, don't you? This whole situation is necessary. For what? Victor leaned back, studying me with that unnerving intensity. Your father stole from me. Not money, something far more valuable. Information. Trade secrets. Evidence that could have destroyed me. My breath stopped. What? He sold it to my competitors. Nearly cost me everything I've built. His voice remained calm, but I heard the steel underneath. The rage. This he gestured between us, is his punishment. Watching you belong to me. Knowing there's nothing he can do about it. Horror and understanding crashed over me in equal measure. I'm revenge, he whispered. Your justice. There's no difference. There is. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, close enough that I could feel his breath. Revenge is meaningless destruction. Justice is balance. Your father took something precious from me. Now I've taken something precious from him. Precious. The word hung between us, sharp and complicated. You don't even know me, I managed. How can I be precious to anyone? Something shifted in Victor's expression. Something almost like regret. I know you better than you think. His voice dropped lower. I know you studied art history at Columbia but never finished your degree because your father needed you in the company. I know you spend your Sundays at the Museum of Modern Art, always in the sculpture garden. I know you take your coffee black with 1 sugar, that you read mystery novels to fall asleep, that you dash. Stop. My hands were shaking. Stop it. He'd been watching me. For how long? Weeks? Months? You've been planning this, I said. This whole thing. It wasn't just about my father's betrayal. You wanted Dash. You. The word cut through the space between us like a blade. I wanted you. The confession landed like a physical blow. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against hardwood. I need to leave. We haven't finished dinner. I don't care about dinner. I don't care about any of this. I just Dash, my voice cracked. I need air. Victor rose slowly, a predator tracking prey. Elena. Don't call me that. It's your name. Not when you say it. I backed toward the door, my pulse hammering. Not when you make it sound like ownership. I reached for the handle. Locked. Of course it was locked. I spun back to face him. Let me out. Victor pulled a key from his pocket. Held it up between 2 fingers. Answer one question first. What question? Why are you really afraid? He took a step closer. Is it because you think I'll hurt you? Or because you're starting to realize you don't hate this as much as you should? The accusation hit too close to something I didn't want to examine. You're delusional. Am I? Another step. Your pulse is racing. Your pupils are dilated. You're breathing like you've been running. He stopped inches away, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. But you're not trying to run. Not really. Because I can't. Because you don't want to. His hand came up slowly, always slowly, giving me time to move, and brushed my cheekbone. The touch was featherlight. Devastating. I closed my eyes. Hated myself for it. I could make you happy here, Victor murmured. If you'd let me. By keeping me prisoner? By keeping you safe. They're the same thing. No. His thumb traced my jawline. They're not. I opened my eyes. Found him closer than I'd realized, his face inches from mine. Close enough to see flecks of gold in his dark irises. Close enough to feel the warmth of his breath against my lips. Close enough to... The door burst open. We both jerked back as a man strode in, tall, blonde, wearing an expensive suit and an expression of barely controlled rage. Victor, he snapped. We need to talk. Now. Victor's entire demeanor changed. The heat, the intimacy gone. Replaced by cold fury. Marcus, he said quietly. Dangerously. I believe I told you never to interrupt me when I'm Dash. Your competitors just made a move. Marcus's eyes flicked to me, dismissive, then back to Victor. The Romano family. They know about her. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. How? Victor's voice could have cut glass. Does it matter? They know. And they're coming. Chapter 3. The world tilted. I gripped the back of the chair, my knuckles white, as Victor and Marcus spoke in clipped, rapid sentences, some in English, some in what sounded like Italian. I caught fragments. Security breach. Timeline moved up. She's not ready. Me. What's happening? My voice sounded far away, hollow. Both men ignored me. Victor strode to his desk, unlocked a drawer, and pulled out a handgun. He checked the magazine with practiced efficiency, then slid it into a holster at his back. Ice flooded my veins. Victor. I stepped forward. What's happening? Change of plans. He didn't look at me, his attention fixed on Marcus. How long do we have? 2 hours. Maybe less. Marcus pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. I've already called in the full detail. Every exit is covered, but if they're serious about this Dash. They're always serious. Victor's jaw tightened. Where's Dominic? Ahut. He'll be here in 20 minutes. Finally, Victor turned to me. The transformation was startling. Gone was the man who'd touched my face with something almost like tenderness. In his place stood someone harder, colder. Someone who looked like he'd been born in shadows and violence. Someone dangerous. Elena, he said quietly. I need you to listen very carefully. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the gun at his back, the way both men moved with military precision. The Romano family, Victor continued, his voice calm despite everything, are competitors of mine. They've discovered you're here. That you matter to me. Which makes you dash. A target. The words tasted like ash. An asset they'll try to acquire. He moved toward me, slow and deliberate. They'll want to use you as leverage. To force my hand in certain business dealings. Business. I laughed, high and brittle. You mean crime. Illegal dealings. Whatever shadowy empire you've built dash. Yes. Novinaye. Noepaleyi. All of that. The confirmation shouldn't have shocked me. I'd suspected, of course. You didn't accumulate the kind of wealth and power Victor possessed through legitimate means. But hearing it stated so baldly, seeing the gun, watching him transform into someone who looked entirely capable of violence, made it real. I want to leave, I whispered. Right now. Let me go and they won't dash. They already know you're here. Leaving now would be more dangerous. Victor glanced at Marcus. Prepare the safe room. Marcus nodded and disappeared through a door I hadn't noticed before. Safe room. The words conjured images of concrete bunkers and reinforced steel. Places people went when the world outside turned hostile. I backed toward the window. This is insane. I should call the police or dash. The police can't help you. Victor's voice remained maddeningly calm. The Romanos own half the precinct. Any call you make would be intercepted within minutes. Then I'll dash. You'll what? Run. He tilted his head slightly. Where would you go that I couldn't find you? More importantly, where would you go that they couldn't? The trap closed tighter. I pressed my hands against the cool glass of the window, staring out at the gardens below. In the distance I could see lights, the city beyond these walls. Freedom. So close and impossibly far. I didn't ask for this, I said quietly. Any of this. I know. Then why dash? I turned to face him. Why not just let me go? Tell them I don't matter. That I'm nothing to you. Victor crossed the room in 3 strides. Before I could react, he had me backed against the window, his hands braced on either side of my head, caging me in. Because, he said, his voice rough, that would be a lie. My heart hammered against my ribs. You barely know me. I know enough. His gaze dropped to my mouth, then back to my eyes. I know you're brave enough to throw plates when you're angry. Strong enough to survive 3 days in a place you hate without breaking. Smart enough to see through my control to the man underneath. I don't see anything, I whispered. Except a criminal holding me hostage. Something flickered across his face. Pain maybe. Or regret. Then you're not looking hard enough. The air between us felt charged. Electric. I should have pushed him away. Should have used this moment of vulnerability to fight, to escape, to do something other than stand frozen while his scent, cedar and smoke and rain wrapped around me like a drug. Victor. Marcus's voice cut through the moment. We need to move. Now. Victor's eyes held mine for one more breath. Then he stepped back and the loss of his heat left me cold. Come with me, he said. Not a command. Not quite a request. Something in between. I just had to survive this night without losing myself completely. The safe room wasn't what I expected. Instead of concrete and steel, I found myself in an underground space that looked like a luxury apartment. Soft lighting. Comfortable furniture. A kitchenette in one corner. Even art on the walls, though I suspected the Rothko hanging near the door was an original. You'll stay here until this is resolved, Victor said, keying in a code on a panel beside the door. The room is soundproof. Bulletproof. Nothing gets in without that code. How long? My voice sounded distant even to my own ears. As long as it takes. He moved to a cabinet and pulled out a laptop, a phone and what looked like a tablet. Communication systems. If you need anything, use the intercom. Mrs. Hale will be monitoring. What about you? The question escaped before I could stop it. Victor looked up, surprise flickering across his features. What about me? Where will you be? Handling this. He set the devices on the coffee table, then straightened, rolling his shoulders as if preparing for battle. The Romanos won't get past my security. But if they do, Dash. If they do, you'll what? Fight them. Horror crept into my voice. You could get killed. Would that matter to you? Yes. The answer rose unbidden, immediate, terrifying in its intensity. I looked away. I don't want anyone dying because of me. Then we're in agreement. His tone softened slightly. Stay here. Stay safe. Let me handle this. He headed for the door. I don't know what possessed me, fear or something more dangerous, but I caught his wrist before he could leave. Wait. Victor froze. His eyes dropped to where my fingers circled his wrist, then rose to my face. In the soft lighting of the safe room, he looked younger somehow. Less like an untouchable criminal, more like a man carrying weight he'd never learned to set down. Don't do anything stupid, I said quietly. Please. His free hand came up to cover mine. That almost sounds like you care. I don't want your death on my conscience. Is that all? The question hung between us, loaded with meaning I wasn't ready to unpack. I released his wrist. Step back. Just be careful. Victor studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then so quickly I almost missed it, he lifted my hand and pressed his lips to my knuckles right over the ring he'd given me. Lock the door behind me, he said. Don't open it for anyone but me. How will I know it's you? A ghost of a smile crossed his face. I'll knock 3 times. Then twice. Then once. He demonstrated on the doorframe. That's how you'll know. Then he was gone, the heavy door closing behind him with a soft, final click. I stood alone in that beautiful underground cage, my hand still tingling where he'd kissed it, and wondered what kind of man fought wars to keep his prisoner safe. Time moved strangely in the safe room. No windows. No natural light. Just the artificial warmth of carefully placed lamps and the oppressive weight of concrete between me and the world above. I tried to distract myself. Explored the space, found a bedroom, a bathroom with a shower that could fit 4 people, even a small library. But nothing could quiet the racing of my thoughts. What was happening up there? Was Victor safe? Had the Romanos come? The intercom crackled to life, making me jump. Miss Hartley. Mrs. Hale's voice, calm and professional. Just checking in. Do you need anything? I crossed to the panel, pressed the button. What's happening? Is everyone safe? Pause. Too long. Mr. Blackwell is handling the situation. Please don't worry. Don't worry. As if that were possible. I paced the length of the room. Once. Twice. 10 times. My fingers kept finding the ring on my left hand, twisting it, feeling the weight of it. The meaning. You matter to me. That's what Victor had said in so many words. I mattered. I was precious. And men like him, men who lived in shadows and violence, they didn't use words like that lightly. But why? Why me? Why did I matter? A sound cut through my spiraling thoughts. Gunshots. Distant. Muffled by layers of steel and concrete. But unmistakable. My heart stopped. More shots. Then silence. Heavy and terrible. I pressed my hands against the door as if I could feel what was happening through solid metal. Mrs. Hale? Mrs. Hale, what's happening? Static. Mrs. Hale. Nothing. The lights flickered. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. This was it. The Romanos had breached the house. They were coming. They would find this room, crack the code, drag me out into 3 knocks. I froze. 2 knocks. My hand hovered over the lock panel. 1 knock. Victor. My fingers flew over the keypad, entering the code he'd shown me. The door hissed open and there he was, alive, whole, a smear of blood across his white shirt, but standing, breathing, real. I didn't question the impulse that sent me forward into his arms, pressing my face against his chest just to feel his heartbeat. To confirm he was here. Safe. His arms came around me instantly. Tight. One hand in my hair, the other at my back, holding me like I might disappear if he loosened his grip. You're alive, I breathed. Did you think I wouldn't be? I heard gunshots. I thought Dash. Shoo. His hand stroked down my hair, soothing. It's over. They're gone. I pulled back enough to look at his face. The blood, Dash. Not mine. His eyes searched my face, cataloging every detail. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. I was down here while you, Dash. Suddenly, anger cut through the relief. I shoved at his chest. You could have died. Do you understand that? You could have died and I would have been trapped down here not knowing, not dash. Victor caught my wrist. But I didn't. That's not the point. Then what is the point, Elena? His voice dropped, intense. Tell me why you're so angry that I'm alive. Because I dash, the word stuck in my throat. Because I don't want to care if you live or die. I don't want any of this to matter. But it does matter. Yes. The confession broke something open inside me. God help me, it does. His grip on my wrists tightened. Say that again. No. Elena. No. I tried to pull away but he held firm. I won't give you that. I won't give you any more power over me than you already have. This isn't about power. He stepped closer, backing me against the doorframe. Not anymore. Then what is it about? Victor's free hand came up to cup my jaw, tilting my face toward his. His thumb brushed my bottom lip and I hated the way my breath caught. Hated the way my body responded to his touch like it had been designed specifically for his hands. You really don't know, he murmured. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. I've wanted you since the first time I saw you, he continued, his voice rough. 3 months ago. You were at the art museum standing in front of a Monet, and you had this look on your face like you were seeing something divine. Something worth dying for. His eyes burned into mine. And I thought, that's what I want. I want someone to look at me like that. Like I'm worth something more than fear. My heart hammered. Victor Dash. I know I'm a monster. His thumb traced my cheekbone. I know what I do, who I am. But when you look at me, even with anger, even with hate, you see me. Not just the power. Not just the violence. Me. I don't know who you are, I whispered. Then let me show you. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to turn away, to refuse, and brushed his lips against mine. Soft. Questioning. Nothing like the dominance I'd expected. I should have pushed him away. Should have used this moment to establish boundaries, to remind him I was his prisoner, that none of this was real. But I didn't. Instead, I rose on my toes and kissed him back. The effect was instantaneous. Victor made a sound low in his throat, something between a groan and a curse, and deepened the kiss, his hand sliding into my hair, his body pressing me back against the doorframe with delicious pressure. He tasted like smoke and danger and something darker I couldn't name. His kiss was controlled, chaos restrained, until it wasn't, gentle until it turned consuming. Like he'd been holding back for months and finally had permission to let go. I matched him. Fisted my hands in his shirt. Bit his bottom lip until he gasped. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. This changes everything, he said quietly. Or nothing. My voice shook. It was just a kiss. We both know that's a lie. He was right. It wasn't just a kiss. It was capitulation. Surrender. The moment I stopped pretending I didn't feel the pull between us. The moment I admitted, if only to myself, that I was falling for my captor. And just as I opened my mouth to take it back, to reassert some control, an alarm shrieked through the house. Victor's head snapped up, his entire body going rigid. That's the perimeter. They're back. But you said Dash. I said they were gone. Not defeated. He grabbed my hand, pulling me back into the safe room. Lock this door. Don't open it for anyone. Not Mrs. Hale. Not Marcus. No one but me. Victor, wait, Dash. But he was already gone, the door slamming shut between us. Leaving me alone in the silence, my lips still burning from his kiss, and the terrible certainty that whatever was coming would change everything. Chapter 4. The alarm cut off after 30 seconds, leaving behind a silence that felt like pressure against my eardrums. I stood frozen in the center of the safe room, every nerve ending screaming at me to do something, anything, but I didn't know what. The intercom remained dead. No updates from Mrs. Hale. No word from Victor. Just silence. And my own heartbeat hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. I moved to the laptop Victor had left, fingers trembling as I opened it. Maybe there were security feeds. Some way to see what was happening above ground. The screen flickered to life, password protected. Of course. I tried the obvious combinations. Victor's name. The house address. Random number sequences. Nothing worked. After the 5th failed attempt, the system locked me out entirely. Damn it. I shoved the laptop away, frustration boiling over into helpless rage. I couldn't just sit here. Couldn't hide underground while Victor faced whatever hell had arrived at the gates. The memory of his kiss still burned on my lips, that moment of raw honesty when he'd let me see past the armor to the man underneath. I've wanted you since the first time I saw you. 3 months. He'd been watching me for 3 months before making his move. The revelation should have terrified me. Should have confirmed every fear about predators and obsession and dangerous men who took what they wanted. But all I could think about was the way he'd looked at me when I'd asked him not to do anything stupid. That almost sounds like you care. I did care. God help me, I did. The realization settled over me like a shroud. Heavy. Inescapable. I cared whether Victor Blackwell lived or died. Cared enough that the thought of him bleeding out somewhere above me made my chest constrict until I couldn't breathe. When had that happened? When had my captor become something more? A sound cut through my spiral footsteps. Heavy. Multiple sets. Moving through the corridor outside the safe room. My breath stopped. They'd gotten inside. Past Victor's security. Past whatever defenses he'd put in place. The footsteps paused outside the door. I backed toward the bedroom, searching for anything I could use as a weapon. Found nothing but decorative pillows and expensive linens. This was a cage designed for comfort, not resistance. A knock. Not Victor's pattern. Not the 3-2-1 sequence he'd shown me. Just 3 slow, deliberate knocks that echoed like a death knell. Miss Hartley. A man's voice. Smooth. Unfamiliar. I know you're in there. Mr. Blackwell was kind enough to provide us with the access codes before before circumstances changed. Ice flooded my veins. Before circumstances changed. What did that mean? Was Victor hurt? Dead? My name is Lorenzo Romano, the voice continued. Perhaps Victor mentioned me? No. Soft laugh. Well, that seems like an oversight on his part. We're old friends, you see. Business associates. Until he decided to pursue interests that conflict with mine. I pressed my back against the bedroom wall, my hands shaking. Stay quiet. Don't respond. Don't give him anything. I'm going to be frank with you, Miss Hartley. We don't have much time. The man's tone shifted, still pleasant but with an edge now. Something sharp underneath. Victor's security will regroup soon. When they do, this entire wing will be locked down and your window of opportunity will close. I'm not interested in opportunities from you, I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. Ah. There you are. Pleasure colored his words. Good. I prefer it when people speak plainly. So let me do the same. Victor Blackwell is using you. You're nothing but a pawn in his vendetta against your father. The moment you cease to be useful, he'll discard you. And you're different? I moved toward the intercom panel, hoping desperately it had come back online. Still dead. You don't want to use me? Oh, I absolutely want to use you. But I'm honest about it. Pause. I'm offering you a choice, Miss Hartley. Come with us now willingly and I guarantee your safety. You'll be treated as a guest, not a prisoner. And when this business between me and Victor is concluded, you'll be free to go. No conditions. No strings. I don't believe you. Smart. He sounded genuinely pleased. You shouldn't trust anyone in our world. But consider, what has Victor offered you? A gilded cage? A ring that marks you as his property? That's not freedom, Miss Hartley. That's just prettier chains. My fingers found the ring on my left hand. Twisted it. You matter to me. Where is he? The question escaped before I could stop it. What did you do to Victor? No signe permanent. Yet. Lorenzo's voice dropped. But that could change. Depending on your answer. Threat and bargaining chip all at once. You're lying, I said. If you had him, you wouldn't need me. Perhaps. Or perhaps I'm simply a man who prefers to win completely. A sound, something metallic clicking against the door. Last chance, Miss Hartley. Open the door or I open it for you. Either way, you're leaving this room. My mind raced. Options. Consequences. The terrible arithmetic of impossible choices. If I opened the door, I'd be trading one captor for another. Lorenzo Romano might be honest about his intentions, but that didn't make him safe. Didn't mean I'd actually be freed when this was over. But if I refused, he'd force his way in anyway. And whatever slim advantage I had, whatever small illusion of control would evaporate. Unless. The bedroom. The bathroom beyond it. Victor had mentioned the room was bulletproof, soundproof. But had he said anything about the ventilation system? I moved quickly, quietly, slipping into the bathroom. They're near the ceiling. A vent cover. Large enough for a person if they were desperate enough. Time's up, Miss Hartley. The sound of drilling cut through the air. High-pitched. Insistent. They were going through the lock panel. I dragged a chair from the bedroom into the bathroom, climbed up and pried at the vent cover with shaking fingers. It came loose with a soft squeal of metal on metal. The drilling stopped. She's running. Lorenzo's voice, amused. How predictable. Footsteps. Faster now. Urgent. I pulled myself into the vent shaft, my arms screaming in protest. The space was tight, barely wide enough for my shoulders and completely dark. But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. I crawled forward blindly, following the slight current of cool air that suggested an opening ahead. Behind me, the safe room door crashed open. Miss Hartley. Lorenzo's voice echoed through the space. This is very foolish of you. You could get lost in there. Trapped. And we both know Victor won't be coming to rescue you. I kept crawling. The shaft branched. Left or right. I chose right on instinct, pulling myself forward inch by agonizing inch. My dress caught on rivets. Tore. I didn't care. Voices behind me. Multiple. They were following. The shaft opened suddenly into a larger chamber, some kind of junction point for the ventilation system. Dim light filtered through slats in the walls. I pressed my eye to one, trying to orient myself. Below, a corridor I didn't recognize. Dark except for emergency lighting. No way down that I could see. Check all the branches. Lorenzo's voice, closer now. She can't have gone far. Footsteps in the shaft. Coming closer. I squeezed through the only other opening I could find, smaller, tighter, my shoulders scraping against metal. The sound seemed deafening in the enclosed space. Please. Please let this lead somewhere. The shaft angled down. Sharply. Too sharply to control my descent. I slid. Metal scraped my arms, my legs. My hands scrambled for purchase but found nothing. Down and down in the darkness until I crashed into something solid. Another vent cover. But this one faced downward. Through the slats I could see a room. Victor's study. And Victor. He sat in his desk chair, blood streaking his temple, his hands zip-tied behind him. Two men flanked him, Romano soldiers, guns drawn. He looked up sharply at the noise of my landing, his eyes finding mine through the vent slats. For one breathless moment our gazes locked. His expression shifted through a dozen emotions. Shock, relief, horror, and finally fear. Pure, undiluted fear. Not for himself. For me. He shook his head minutely. A warning. Don't. But I was out of options. Out of time. Out of places to run. The vent cover was held by 4 screws. Old. Rusted. I worked at the first one with my fingers, feeling it loosen. Then the second. She went down the east branch. Lorenzo's voice echoed through the shaft above me. Move. 3rd screw. Victor's eyes never left mine. He was saying something. Mouthing words I couldn't hear but could read on his lips. Run. Please. Run. 4th screw. The vent cover fell away. I dropped through the opening, landing hard on Victor's desk in a crash of scattered papers and breaking glass. Pain shot up my ankle but I rolled off the desk, hit the floor, scrambled to my feet, and found myself staring down the barrel of a gun. Well, said the man holding it, his smile cold. That was dramatic. Victor's voice cut through the room like a blade. Touch her and I'll kill you. I'll kill everyone you've ever loved. I'll burn your entire organization to the ground. The man's smile widened. You're in no position to make threats, Blackwell. Aren't I? Something dangerous flickered in Victor's eyes. You need me alive for this to work. Need me compliant. Cooperative. His gaze shifted to me, softer now. Aching. But the moment you hurt her, none of that matters. I'll die before I give you what you want. And without me, your entire plan falls apart. Silence. Heavy. Calculating. The gun lowered. Smart man, the soldier said. But that only buys her time. Not safety. The door burst open. Lorenzo Romano entered, tall, silver-haired, expensively dressed. He took in the scene with one sweep of his eyes. Me on the floor, Victor bound, his men holding weapons. Miss Hartley. He smiled. You're surprisingly resourceful. I'm impressed. Let him go, I said. My voice shook but held. Whatever business you have with Victor, it's between you and him. I'm not part of this. But you are. Lorenzo crossed the room, stopping just out of arm's reach. You became part of this the moment Victor decided you mattered. The moment he put that ring on your finger and declared you his. Then take the ring. I twisted it off, held it out. Take it and let us both go. Us. Lorenzo's eyebrows rose. Interesting. Stockholm Syndrome works quickly, it seems. It's not Dash. It doesn't matter what it is. He plucked the ring from my palm, examined it in the light. Beautiful piece. Platinum. 3 carats. Flawless. His eyes lifted to Victor. You always did have excellent taste. Victor said nothing. But I saw his hands working behind him, testing the zip ties. Looking for weakness. Here's what's going to happen, Lorenzo continued. You're both going to come with me. Quietly. Peacefully. And if you cooperate, if you give me what I want, information, access codes, certain files that Victor has been very protective of, then perhaps we can all walk away from this unharmed. And if we refuse? I asked. Lorenzo's smile faded. Then I stopped being civilized. He nodded to his men. They moved toward Victor. I didn't think. Didn't plan. Just acted. I lunged for the nearest object, a letter opener on Victor's desk, and drove it toward the soldier closest to me. He dodged, but not fast enough. The blade caught his shoulder and he roared in pain. Chaos erupted. Victor surged to his feet, zip ties somehow broken, and slammed his shoulder into the second soldier. They went down in a tangle of limbs. Lorenzo grabbed for me, but I twisted away, my injured ankle screaming in protest. Elena, run. Victor's voice. Desperate. Commanding. But I couldn't run. Wouldn't run. Not without him. The injured soldier caught my arm, yanked me back. I clawed at his face, fought with everything I had, but he was stronger. Trained. He twisted my arm behind my back until white-hot pain exploded through my shoulder. I screamed. Victor's head snapped toward the sound. For one terrible moment, his attention shifted from the man he was fighting to me. It was enough. The soldier landed a punch to Victor's jaw that sent him staggering. Then another. And another. Stop. I fought harder, thrashing in my captor's grip. Stop it. You're killing him. Lorenzo watched it all with detached interest. You hear that, Victor? Your little pet is worried about you. How touching. Victor hit the floor. Didn't get up. Blood pooled beneath his head. No. The word tore from my throat. No, please, Dash. Lorenzo moved to stand over Victor's still form. Such a waste. He was a worthy adversary. He looked up at me, his expression almost sympathetic. But in our world, Miss Hartley, sentiment is a weakness. And weaknesses get you killed. He pulled out a gun. Aimed it at Victor's head. And just as his finger tightened on the trigger, every light in the house went out. Chapter 5. Darkness swallowed everything. Complete. Absolute. The kind of darkness that pressed against your eyes like a physical weight. Gunfire erupted, muzzle flashes lighting the room in strobing bursts. I couldn't see who was shooting. Couldn't see Victor. Couldn't see anything except violent snapshots of chaos. The man holding me loosened his grip for just a second, startled by the blackout, disoriented, and I drove my elbow back into his ribs with everything I had. He grunted and I twisted free, dropping to the floor. Elena. Victor's voice cut through the noise. Alive. He was alive. I crawled toward the sound, hands outstretched, feeling broken glass bite into my palms. More gunfire. Shouts. The wet sound of impact, fist on flesh. A hand caught my wrist in the darkness. I screamed. It's me. Victor. His voice rough, urgent. Stay down. Don't move. You're bleeding, Dash. I know. He pressed something cold into my hand. Metal. Heavy. A gun. Safety's off. Point and shoot if anyone comes near you who isn't me. I don't know how to dash. You'll figure it out. His thumb brushed my cheek, quick, reassuring. Trust me. Then he was gone, swallowed by the darkness. I crouched behind Victor's desk, the gun shaking in my grip, and tried to make sense of the sounds around me. Fighting. Clothes. Brutal. Bodies hitting furniture. Someone cursed in Italian. Glass shattered. Emergency lights flickered on, dim, red-tinted. Enough to see shapes. Shadows. Victor moved like violence made human. Even injured, even outnumbered, he was devastating. I watched him take down Romano's soldier with a move so fast I barely tracked it, something involving the man's own momentum and the corner of the desk. The soldier crumpled, unconscious. Another came at him from the side. Victor spun, caught the man's wrist, twisted until I heard bones snap. The scream was cut short by Victor's elbow to his throat. 2 down. But Lorenzo had disappeared. And at least 3 more soldiers remained somewhere in the darkness. Marcus! Victor's shout echoed through the house. Report. Silence. Then from somewhere distant an explosion rocked the foundation. The floor beneath me trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. South wing is compromised. Marcus's voice crackled over what sounded like a radio. They brought charges. We're falling back to the central corridor dash. Static swallowed the rest. Victor cursed, low and vicious. His eyes found me across the room. We're leaving. Now. What about Dash? Now, Elena. He crossed to me in 3 strides, pulled me to my feet. My ankle protested, sharp pain shooting up my leg. I stumbled and Victor caught me, his arm sliding around my waist. Can you walk? I don't know. Maybe Dash. He swept me up without waiting for more answer. Cradled against his chest, I could feel his heartbeat rapid but steady. Could smell blood and smoke and the cedar scent of his cologne underneath it all. Put your arms around my neck, he said. Don't let go. I did. Held on tight as he moved through the study toward a door I'd never noticed before, hidden behind a bookshelf that swung open at his touch. A passage. Dark and narrow. Secret. Of course Victor had escape routes. He carried me down a spiral staircase, his breathing controlled despite my weight. Emergency lighting guided our descent, small bulbs set into the walls at intervals, casting everything in blood-red shadows. Where are we going? My voice sounded small in the enclosed space. Garage. There's a car already prepped. He didn't slow. Didn't pause. We have maybe 5 minutes before they realize we're gone and lock down the entire property. What about Mrs. Hale? Marcus? Your people Dash. They know what to do. His jaw tightened. This was always a possibility. We've trained for it. We reached the bottom of the stairs, a cement corridor lined with pipes and electrical conduits. Industrial. Utilitarian. Nothing like the elegance of the house above. Victor set me down carefully, his hands lingering at my waist to make sure I could stand. How's your ankle? It'll hold. A lie but a necessary one. Victor, your head Dash. Later. He cupped my face, his thumb wiping at something wet on my cheek. Blood or tears, I couldn't tell. I need you to stay with me. Stay focused. Can you do that? I nodded. Good girl. He pressed his lips to my forehead, quick, almost desperate. Stay close. We moved through the corridor, Victor's hand never leaving mine. His grip was warm. Thought. The only real thing in a nightmare that kept spiraling worse. The corridor opened into a garage, massive, dimly lit, filled with vehicles shrouded in covers. Victor led me directly to a black SUV with tinted windows. Military grade from the look of it. He opened the passenger door, lifted me inside. Buckle up. I did, my fingers fumbling with the clasp. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Victor slid into the driver's seat, started the engine with a roar. The garage door ahead of us began to rise too slowly, grinding on damaged tracks. Come on, Victor muttered. Come on. Through the rear window I saw lights. Flashlights. Coming from the corridor we just left. They'd found our escape route. The garage door cleared 3 feet. For Victor Dash. I know. His hand found mine across the console. Squeezed. Hold on. He slammed the accelerator. The SUV shot forward, the roof scraping against the still rising door with a screech of metal on metal. Then we were through, bursting out into the night, not onto the main driveway, but a service road that cut through the woods behind the estate. Gunfire erupted behind us. Bullets sparked off the reinforced back window but didn't penetrate. Victor took a corner too fast. I grabbed the handle above my door, my heart in my throat. Are they following? I twisted to look. They will be. He wrenched the wheel left, sending us down an even narrower path. Branches scraped the sides of the SUV. But this vehicle is faster. Better. We'll lose them in the city. The city? We can't, people will see Dash. That's exactly why we're going there. He glanced at me and even in the darkness I could see the intensity in his eyes. They won't risk a public confrontation. Too many witnesses. Too much exposure. You're sure? No. Honest. Brutal. But it's our best option. We burst out of the woods onto a 2-lane highway. Victor accelerated, the speedometer climbing. 80. 90. 100. I looked back. Saw headlights emerging from the tree line. How many cars? 2. Victor's jaw tightened. Marcus, if you're listening, he tapped something on the steering wheel. A radio built into the dashboard crackled to life. We're eastbound on Route 7. Need an intercept. Copy that. Marcus's voice, strained but functional. We're 3 minutes out. Keep them engaged. Engaged, I repeated numbly. That means That means they need to keep following us long enough for Marcus to cut them off. Victor's hand found mine again. Elena, I need you to trust me. Idol. The words surprised me with their truth. Somewhere between captivity and chaos, between fear and whatever this was, he started trusting him. I trust you. Something shifted in his expression. Then close your eyes. What? Close them. Now. I didn't understand, but I obeyed. Squeezed my eyes shut just as the world tilted violently sideways. The SUV skidded, tires screaming, and I felt us spinning. Once. Twice. My stomach lurched. Then we straightened. Accelerated. You can look now. I opened my eyes. We were facing the opposite direction, racing back toward our pursuers. What are you, Chicken, Victor said calmly. Hold on. The lead car came at us head-on. Neither vehicle slowed. Possessive. I could see the driver's face now, wide-eyed, panicked. At the last possible second, Victor yanked the wheel right. We swerved. The other car swerved left directly into the path of the second pursuing vehicle. The impact was catastrophic. Metal screaming. Glass exploding. The two cars tangled together, flipping, rolling, coming to rest in a mangled heap. Victor didn't slow. Didn't look back. Just kept driving. Jesus Christ, I breathed. They'll survive. He said it with certainty. Injured. But alive. I didn't hit them hard enough to kill. You, I turned to stare at him. You calculated that? In seconds. I've been driving since I was 12. Racing since 14. The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile. I know what these cars can take. Headlights appeared ahead, a vehicle speeding toward us. I tensed, ready for another attack, but Victor touched my hand. It's Marcus. The vehicle pulled alongside us as both cars slowed. Marcus leaned out the window, blood streaking his face but grinning. Show off. Status. Victor called. Romano's people are scattered. House is secure mostly. We lost Johnson and Reeves. Victor's hand tightened on the wheel. Casualties. Johnson's critical. Reeves will make it. Marcus's expression darkened. But Romano got away clean. Probably halfway to the airport by now. Then we go after him. Victor, you're injured. The girl's injured. We need to regroup, get medical. We go after him. Victor's voice cut like broken glass. He came into my house. Threatened what's mine. I won't let that stand. What's mine? The words settled over me, heavy and complicated. I should have objected. Should have reminded him I wasn't property. Wasn't his to claim. I was too tired. Too overwhelmed. And some small traitorous part of me liked hearing it. Liked being something worth protecting. Give us 3 hours, Marcus said finally. 3 hours to stabilize, rearm, and get proper intel on Romano's location. Then we move. Victor nodded once. 3 hours. Marcus's car peeled away, heading back toward the estate. We drove in silence. My adrenaline was crashing, leaving behind bone-deep exhaustion. Every part of me hurt. My hands. My ankle. My shoulder. But underneath the physical pain, something else throbbed. Fear of what came next. Where are we going? Asked finally. Somewhere safe. Safe doesn't exist. Not in your world. No. He glanced at me. But there are degrees of danger. And right now, I need to get you as far from actively dying as possible. The attempt at dark humor fell flat. I looked out the window at the passing landscape, suburbs giving way to industrial zones, giving way to what looked like warehouse districts. The city sprawled around us, millions of people living normal lives, having no idea that just miles away men were killing each other over money and power and revenge. Why? The question escaped before I could stop it. Why what? Why do all this? Why risk your life? Your people's lives? I turned to face him. I'm just leverage. A way to hurt my father. You said so yourself. Victor was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. You started as leverage, he admitted. But that's not what you are now. Then what am I? He pulled into the parking garage of a nondescript building, probably a safe house, and killed the engine. In the sudden silence I could hear both our breathing. Harsh. Unsteady. Victor turned to face me fully. In the dim garage lighting I could see the extent of his injuries. Blood matted his hair. Bruises were already forming along his jaw. His shirt was torn, revealing more bruising across his ribs. He looked like he'd been through a war. He looked beautiful. You're the first thing in my life I didn't choose because of strategy, he said quietly. The first thing I wanted just because I wanted it. Not because it made sense. Not because it served a purpose. His hand came up, hesitant, to cup my cheek. You're the first thing that's mine that has nothing to do with power or control or any of the bullshit that's defined my entire existence. My breath caught. Victor Dash. I know I forced you into this. I know I blackmailed you, manipulated you, kept you prisoner. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. And I know you have every right to hate me for it. But Elena Dash, his voice broke slightly. I can't let you go. I've tried. For 3 months I told myself I'd just watch. Just make sure you were safe. That would be enough. But it wasn't. No. He leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching mine. It wasn't. Because watching you live your life, going to museums, reading in cafes, existing in the world without knowing I existed, it was torture. I needed you to see me. To know me. Even if you hated what you saw. I don't hate you, I whispered. His eyes closed. You should. Maybe. I reached up, my fingers threading through his hair, carefully avoiding the wound at his temple. But I don't. When he kissed me this time it was different from before. No urgency. No desesperación. Just slow, devastating thoroughness. Like he was trying to memorize the taste of me. The feel of me. Like he thought this might be the last time. I kissed him back with equal intensity, pouring everything I couldn't say into the press of my lips against his. All the fear. All the confusion. All the terrible, impossible feelings I'd been trying to deny. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. 3 hours, he murmured. Then I end this. One way or another. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll come back. My voice cracked. Promise me you won't die trying to avenge my honor or whatever macho bullshit you're planning. His mouth curved. That's 2 things. Victor. I promise. He kissed me again, quick, fierce. I'll come back to you. Always. He got out of the car, came around to help me out. My ankle had stiffened during the drive. When I put weight on it, pain lanced up my leg sharp enough to make me gasp. Victor lifted me without hesitation. I've got you. I can walk, Dash. I know you can. He headed toward an elevator. But you don't have to. The safe house was exactly what it sounded like, functional, sparse, completely unremarkable. A studio apartment with basic furniture and heavy blackout curtains. Medical supplies stacked on a table. Weapons locked in a cabinet. Victor set me on the bed, then knelt to examine my ankle. His touch was gentle despite his injuries. Professional. Sprained, he said after a moment. Not broken. I'll wrap it. He worked in silence, his hands steady and sure. I watched him, this man who'd turned my life upside down, who'd kidnapped me and kissed me and risked everything to keep me safe. I'm sorry, I said quietly. His hands stilled. For what? For stabbing that guy with your letter opener. For not staying in the safe room. For Dash, I gestured helplessly. For being the reason all this happened. Victor looked up at me, something fierce in his eyes. You have nothing to apologize for. You survived. You fought. You Dash, his jaw tightened. You could have run when the lights went out. Could have left me there. But you didn't. Of course I didn't. Why? The question hung between us. I could have lied. Could have said it was self-preservation or strategy, or any number of rational explanations. But I was tired of lying. Because I low Dash, The words stuck in my throat. Too much. Too soon. Too dangerous to say out loud. Victor's eyes searched mine. Waiting. Because you matter to me, I finished quietly. God help me, you matter. He rose slowly, his hands framing my face. Say the rest. Victor dash. Say it. Please. I can't. Why not? Because saying it would make it real. Would make this whatever this was between us something I couldn't take back or deny or pretend was just Stockholm Syndrome. Saying it would mean admitting I'd fallen for my captor. And just as I opened my mouth to say it anyway, to finally admit the truth, his phone rang. Victor pulled it out, glanced at the screen. Every line of his body went rigid. It's Marcus. He answered. Talk to me. I watched his expression change as he listened. Shock, then rage, then something that looked like devastation. When? His voice was flat. Dead. How many? Pause. I understand. He ended the call. Stared at the phone for a long moment. What happened? Fear crawled up my spine. Victor, what dash? They found your father. The world tilted. Found him where? Victor's eyes met mine and I saw the answer before he spoke it. In the river, he said quietly. He's dead, Elena. Your father is dead. Chapter 6. I couldn't breathe. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. My father, arrogant, reckless, impossible, couldn't just be gone. He was too large a presence in my life to simply cease existing. No. The denial came out strangled. No, that's not your lying. This is some kind of dash. I'm not lying. Victor's voice was gentle. Too gentle. Like he was talking to something breakable. Marcus's team found him an hour ago. I'm sorry. Sorry. As if that word could encompass the sudden void opening inside my chest. As if anything could. How? My voice sounded distant. Not mine. How did he die? Victor hesitated. I watched him weigh the truth against mercy and hated that he felt he had to choose. Tell me. I gripped his wrist, my fingers digging in. Don't lie to me. Not about this. Execution style. Single gunshot to the back of the head. His jaw tightened. Professional. Clean. Romanois signature. The room spun. I pressed my hands over my mouth, trying to hold in the sound clawing up my throat. Not quite a sob. Not quite a scream. Something worse. This is my fault, I whispered. He took your information to save himself. To save me. And now dash. No. Victor caught my face between his hands, forcing me to look at him. This is not your fault. Your father made choices. Dangerous choices. He knew the risks. But if you hadn't dash. Then Romano would have found another reason. Another excuse. His thumbs brushed my cheeks, wiping away tears I hadn't realized were falling. Men like Lorenzo don't need justification. They just need opportunity. I couldn't process it. Couldn't reconcile the man who'd sold me to pay his debts with the corpse pulled from the river. My father had been many things: selfish, calculating, distant. But he'd been alive. Present. And now he was none of those things. I need to dash. I tried to stand. My ankle buckled. I need to see him. Identify the body. There's funeral arrangements and his company and dash. Elena. Victor caught me as I swayed. You're in shock. You need to rest. I can't rest. I have to. There's things I need to do. Papers to sign. People to notify dash. Tomorrow. His arms came around me, solid and warm. We'll handle everything tomorrow. Right now you need to breathe. But I couldn't. Every breath felt like drowning. Like the water that had claimed my father was rising up to claim me too. Victor lifted me, carried me to the bed. I didn't fight. Didn't have the strength. He sat with his back against the headboard and pulled me into his lap, one arm around my waist, the other stroking my hair. It's okay, he murmured. Let it out. And something in his voice, the permission, the safety of it, broke whatever dam I'd been holding inside. I sobbed. Great, ugly, gasping sobs that shook my entire body. For my father. For myself. For the last few impossible days that had torn my life apart and rebuilt it into something I didn't recognize. Victor held me through all of it. Never flinching. Never pulling away. His hand traced slow, soothing circles on my back, and he pressed his lips to my temple, my hair, my forehead. Not kisses exactly. Just reassurance. I'm here. You're not alone. Time became meaningless. Minutes or hours I couldn't tell. Eventually the sobs subsided into hiccups. Then silence. Then exhaustion so profound I could barely keep my eyes open. Sleep, Victor said softly. I'll be here when you wake up. Promise. Promise. I wanted to fight it. Wanted to stay awake, to process, to feel everything instead of hiding in unconsciousness. But my body had other plans. My eyelids grew heavy. The steady rhythm of Victor's heartbeat beneath my ear pulled me under. The last thing I felt before sleep claimed me was his arms tightening around me. I've got you. I won't let go. I woke to the sound of voices. Oh, urgent. Coming from somewhere nearby. For a moment I couldn't remember where I was. The room was unfamiliar. Dark except for a sliver of light from under a door. My body ached everywhere. Then it all came rushing back. Victor. Romano. The escape. My father. Dead. I sat up slowly, my head pounding. The bed beside me was empty but still warm. Victor had been here recently. The voices grew louder. An argument. I limped to the door, pressed my ear against it. Can't possibly think this is a good idea. Marcus. Agree. She's a liability, Victor. Her father was feeding information to Romano for months. How do we know she wasn't in on it? She wasn't. Victor's voice. Pulled. Certain. I had her monitored. Every call. Every email. Every movement. She knew nothing about her father's dealings. You think she knew nothing. But dash. I know. Pause. Marcus, I understand your concern. But Elena is not the enemy. Then what is she? Frustration bled through Marcus's words. Because from where I'm standing, she's a distraction you can't afford. Romano is still out there. He's killed once already. He won't hesitate to kill again. And as long as she's with you, you're vulnerable. Silence. My chest tightened. Marcus was right, of course. I'd known it from the moment I kissed Victor in his study. From the moment I'd chosen to stay instead of run. I made him weak. So what do you suggest? Victor's voice was dangerously quiet. I send her away? Put her in witness protection? Hope Romano doesn't find her. I suggest you remember who you are. Marcus's tone softened slightly. You're Victor Blackwell. You don't have weaknesses. You don't have vulnerabilities. You certainly don't have dash. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Don't finish that sentence. Someone has to say it. You're compromised. This thing with her, whatever it is, it's going to get you killed. Or worse, it's going to get her killed. Another silence. Longer this time. I should have moved away. Should have given them privacy. But I stood frozen, waiting for Victor's response. Needing to hear what he'd say when I wasn't there to influence him. You're right, Victor said finally. My heart stopped. She makes me vulnerable. Weak. Every rational part of me knows I should let her go. Pause. But I can't, Marcus. I've tried. Even now, knowing what it costs, I can't. Then you're a fool. Yes. Bitter. Self-aware. I am. Footsteps. Movement. I backed away from the door just as it opened. Victor stood in the doorway, his eyes finding mine immediately. He knew I'd been listening. Knew I'd heard everything. How long were you awake? He asked quietly. Long enough. I wrapped my arms around myself. Marcus is right. I'm putting you in danger. Putting everyone in danger. Elena. My father is dead because of me. Because of this dash I gestured between us, whatever this is. How many more people have to die before you admit this was a mistake? Victor crossed the room in 2 strides. You are not a mistake. Then what am I? The question tore from my throat. What am I to you, Victor? Really? His hands framed my face. You're everything. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. His eyes searched mine, desperate, pleading. I don't know how to explain what you are to me. I don't have words for it. All I know is that before you I was empty. Going through motions. Building an empire because I didn't know what else to do. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. And then I saw you standing in front of that Monet, and for the first time in my life I wanted something that wasn't about power or control. I wanted something real. This isn't real. But my voice shook. It's trauma bonding. Stockholm syndrome. It's dash. It's love. The words fell between us like stones. I'm in love with you, Elena. Have been since that first moment. And I know that's insane. I know it's too fast, too complicated, too much. But it's the truth. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process the magnitude of what he'd just confessed. Victor laughed, broken, self-deprecating. You don't have to say it back. I don't expect you to. But I needed you to know. Before Dash. Before what? His expression shuddered. Before I do what needs to be done. Dread crawled up my spine. What does that mean? It means I'm ending this. Tonight. I'm going after Romano and I'm finishing what he started. His jaw tightened. And when it's done, when you're safe, you're free to leave. No conditions. No blackmail. You can walk away and never look back. And if I don't want to walk away? Hope flickered in his eyes. Then you stay. And we figure out how to make this work. How to build something real from this broken, impossible beginning. He was giving me a choice. For the first time since this started, I had actual agency. Actual power. I could leave. Return to my life, whatever remained of it. Mourn my father in peace. Eventually, maybe forget about Victor Blackwell and the week that had turned my entire world upside down. Or I could stay. Stay with a man who'd kidnapped me. Manipulated me. Put me in danger. A man who'd also protected me. Fought for me. Loved me. The words caught in my throat. I don't know what I want. That's okay. He pressed his forehead to mine. You have time to decide. All the time you need. How much time do you have? Before you go after Romano? An hour. Maybe less. His arms came around me. Marcus is gathering the team now. An hour. 60 minutes before Victor walked into something that could get him killed. I pulled back enough to look at him. Really look at him. The bruises darkening along his jaw. The exhaustion in his eyes. The barely controlled rage simmering beneath his surface. He looked like a man preparing for war. Take me with you, I said. Absolutely not. Victor Dash. No. He caught my hands. This is exactly what Marcus was talking about. I can't do what needs to be done if I'm worried about keeping you safe. Then don't worry about me. Let me help. Help how? His eyes hardened. This isn't a negotiation, Elena. This isn't something you can talk your way through. This is violence. Blood. Things you shouldn't have to see. I've already seen them. I squeezed his hands. I saw you fight. Saw you kill. And I'm still here. Still standing in front of you asking to stay. Something shifted in his expression. Why? Because the truth fought its way up my throat. Past fear. Past logic. Past every reason I should keep it locked inside. Because I love you too. Victor went completely still. I don't know when it happened, I continued, the words spilling out now that I'd started. Maybe when you gave me the ring. Maybe when you risked everything to save me. Maybe it was always there, just waiting for me to be brave enough to see it. I stepped closer. But I love you, Victor Blackwell. And I'm not letting you walk into danger alone. For one heartbeat he just stared at me. Processing. Disbelieving. Then he was kissing me. Fierce. Consuming. Desperate. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me impossibly closer. I rose on my toes, ignoring the pain in my ankle, and kissed him back with everything I had. When we finally broke apart, both gasping, his eyes blazed. Say it again, he demanded. I love you. Again. I love you, you impossible, infuriating man. I laughed against his mouth. I love you. He lifted me, spun me, kissed me again like he'd never get enough. Like I was air and he'd been drowning. When he set me down, his hands stayed at my waist. Anchoring. Flaming. You're staying here, he said. That's not negotiable. But he silenced my protest with a finger on my lips. When this is over, we're leaving. Both of us. Somewhere far from here. Somewhere safe. Where? I don't care. His thumb brushed my bottom lip. As long as you're with me. A knock at the door interrupted us. Victor. Marcus's voice. We're ready. Victor's expression hardened back into the mask of control. The dangerous man I'd first met. But when he looked at me, something softer remained. I'll come back, he promised. I swear it. You'd better. I gripped his shirt. Because if you die on me now, I'll never forgive you. He smiled, genuinely smiled, and it transformed his face into something almost boyish. That's the Elena I fell in love with. He kissed me one more time. Soft. Lingering. A promise. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him with a soft click. Leaving me alone in the safe house, my heart racing, my mind spinning. I waited exactly 3 minutes before I ignored every instruction he'd given me and followed him out the door. Chapter 7. The streets were empty at 3 in the morning. I'd slipped out of the safe house using the fire escape, painful with my injured ankle but manageable. Victor and his team had left in 2 black SUVs, and I'd watched from the window as they pulled out of the garage. Heading east. Toward the warehouse district. Toward Romano. I couldn't let Victor face this alone. Not when my father's death was part of this. Not when I'd finally found something worth fighting for. A taxi idled at the corner. I limped toward it, my heart hammering. Where to? The driver barely glanced at me in the rearview mirror. East Warehouse District. I slid into the back seat. Near the docks. That's not a great neighborhood at this hour, miss. I know. I pulled out the cash Victor had left in the safe house, emergency funds, probably. Double if you get me there in 15 minutes. The driver's eyes widened at the bills in my hand. You got it. We tore through the city streets, traffic lights blurring past. I checked my phone, the one Victor had given me in the safe room. Still had battery. Still had the tracking app Marcus had shown me before when they thought I was staying put. The app showed 2 dots moving through the city. Victor's team. They were heading toward the old shipping terminal. Abandoned for years, according to the news reports. The perfect place for a confrontation nobody wanted witnessed. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know you're following. Turn around. No. Marcus. Had to be. I typed back, no. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, stubborn. Like him. Stay in the car when you arrive. Do not get out. I didn't respond. The taxi pulled up to a chain-link fence surrounding the terminal. Beyond it, I could see the skeletal remains of cranes silhouetted against the night sky. Shipping containers stacked like building blocks. Shadows and darkness and places to hide. Places to die. This is as far as I go, the driver said. You sure about this? I'm sure. I handed him the cash. Thank you. I got out, my ankle screaming in protest. The fence had a gap where someone had cut through the links. I squeezed through, my breath misting in the cold air. Gunfire erupted from somewhere deep in the terminal. My heart stopped. Started again too fast. I ran. Not toward the sound, that would be suicide. But parallel to it, using the containers as cover. My ankle threatened to give out with every step, but I pushed through the pain. More gunfire. Closer now. Voices shouting. A scream cut short. I pressed myself against a container, breathing hard, trying to orient myself. The tracking app showed Victor's dot maybe 200 feet ahead. Not moving. Please be alive. Please be alive. Please. A hand clamped over my mouth. I thrashed, but an arm locked around my waist, lifting me off my feet. Stop fighting, a voice hissed in my ear. Marcus, are you trying to get yourself killed? He released me, spinning me around. In the dim light from distant street lamps, I could see blood streaking his face. His expression was fury and exasperation in equal measure. I told you to stay in the car, he said. And I told you I'm not leaving. Elena. Where is he? I grabbed Marcus's vest. Where's Victor? Marcus's jaw tightened. Inside the main warehouse. With Romano. Alone. It's what he wanted. Marcus glanced toward the building. Said it needed to end between them. No weaknesses. No interference. That's insane. Romano could dash. I know. He met my eyes. Believe me, I know. But Victor Blackwell doesn't listen to reason when he's made up his mind. You should understand that better than anyone. He was right. I did understand. Victor had decided this was his fight. His responsibility. His way of protecting everyone he cared about. Even if it killed him. How do we get inside? I asked. We don't. Marcus caught my arm when I tried to move past him. He ordered us to stay out. To let him handle it. I don't care about his orders. Neither do I. A ghost of a smile crossed Marcus's face. But the difference is, I know how to follow them anyway. You apparently have a death wish. More gunfire from inside the warehouse. Then silence. Heavy and terrible. I pulled free from Marcus's grip and ran toward the building. Elena, wait dash. I didn't wait. Couldn't wait. My ankle nearly buckled, but I caught myself against the warehouse wall. Found a door rusted, partially open. Slipped inside. The warehouse was massive. Sound echoed off metal walls and concrete floors. Moonlight filtered through broken skylights, casting everything in silver and shadow. In the center of the space, two figures faced each other. Victor and Lorenzo Romano. Both breathing hard. Both bloodied. Both armed. Elena. Victor's voice cut through the darkness. He didn't take his eyes off Romano, but I heard the anger in his tone. The fear. Get out. Now. Listen to the man, Romano said pleasantly. He looked worse than Victor, one eye swollen shut, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. But his gun remained steady. This doesn't concern you, Miss Hartley. My father is dead because of you. I stepped forward. It absolutely concerns me. Your father was a thief and a traitor. Romano's smile was cold. He got exactly what he deserved. Rage flooded through me. He was my father. And I'm sure you'll mourn him appropriately. But right now, Romano gestured with his gun. I'm having a conversation with Mr. Blackwell. And it would be terribly rude to interrupt. Put down the gun, Lorenzo. Victor's voice was calm. Too calm. This ends now. Between us. Leave her out of it. But she walked into it on her own. Romano turned his gun from Victor to me. Admirable, really. Foolish. But admirable. Everything slowed. Victor moved fast, fluid, desperate. But not fast enough. Romano's finger tightened on the trigger. I didn't think. Didn't plan. Just dove sideways as the shot rang out. Pain exploded in my shoulder. White hot. Blinding. I hit the ground hard, my head cracking against concrete. Somewhere distant, Victor screamed my name. More gunshots. Shouting. The sound of bodies colliding. I tried to move. Couldn't. Tried to breathe. Could barely manage shallow gasps. Elena. Victor's face appeared above mine, pale in the moonlight. Stay with me. Stay with me. His hands pressed against my shoulder. Pressure. Pain. I cried out. I know it hurts. But I need to stop the bleeding. His voice cracked. You're going to be okay. You hear me? You're going to be fine. I tried to speak. Tasted blood. Don't talk. Save your strength. He looked up, shouting. Marcus. I need medical here. Now. Footsteps. Running. More voices. I focused on Victor's face. Memorized every line. Every shadow. The way his dark eyes reflected moonlight like shattered glass. Stupid girl, he said, but his voice was thick with emotion. Why did you follow me? Why didn't you stay safe? Because each word hurt. Because I love you. I know. He pressed his forehead to mine. I know, and I love you too, and you can't die on me now. Do you understand? You don't get to tell me you love me and then leave. Not I coughed. More blood. Not planning on it. Good. Because we have plans. Remember? Somewhere far from here. Somewhere safe. His thumb brushed my cheek. You have to survive this so I can take you there. Marcus appeared beside him. Ambulance is 3 minutes out. She doesn't have 3 minutes. Victor's hands pressed harder. I gasped. We need to move her now. Moving her could make it worse. She's bleeding out. Victor's voice broke. We move her or she dies here. Those are the options. Pause. Then Marcus nodded. On 3. They lifted me. The movement sent fresh agony through my shoulder. I bit back a scream. I'm sorry, Victor murmured. I'm so sorry. They carried me toward the warehouse entrance. My vision swam. Darkened at the edges. Stay awake, Victor commanded. Elena, look at me. Stay awake. I tried. Fought to keep my eyes open. But exhaustion pulled at me like a riptide. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Victor's face. The last thing I heard was him begging me not to leave him. Beeping. That was the first thing I registered. Steady. Rhythmic. Annoying. Then pain. Duller than before but still present. Radiating from my shoulder. I opened my eyes slowly. White ceiling. White walls. The antiseptic smell of a hospital. I was alive. Elena. Victor's voice. Rough. Exhausted. Like he'd been talking for hours or crying. I turned my head. He sat in a chair beside my bed, still in his blood-stained clothes. His hand clutched mine. His eyes were red-rimmed, his face haggard. I kruaka. Something between a laugh and a sob escaped him. What dash? My throat felt like sandpaper. What happened? You got shot. He squeezed my hand. Romano's bullet caught your shoulder. Clean through. You're lucky it missed the bone, major arteries. But you lost a lot of blood. Romano. Victor's expression hardened. Dead. I made sure of that. I should have felt something, horror maybe, or remorse. But all I felt was relief. It was over. Finally over. How long have I been out? 18 hours. He stroked my hair with his free hand. Longest 18 hours of my life. You stayed the whole time? Of course I stayed. He leaned forward, pressing his lips to my forehead. I told you I'd never leave you. I meant it. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm sorry. I should have listened. Should have stayed in the safe house dash. No. He cut me off. Don't apologize. You saved my life. If you hadn't distracted Romano when you did dash, his jaw tightened. I'd be dead. So don't you dare apologize for being brave. Brave is a generous word for stupid. It's the right word. His thumb brushed my knuckles. You're the bravest person I know, Elena Hartley. I smiled weakly. Thought I was supposed to be Elena Blackwell now. His eyes widened. Do you mean that? I told you I loved you. I meant that too. I squeezed his hand. When I get out of here, we're going somewhere far away. Somewhere safe. And we're starting over. Really starting over. No kidnapping. No blackmail. Just us. Just us, he echoed. Hope bloomed across his features. I can do that. Good. Because I have conditions. Of course you do. He smiled, genuinely smiled. Name them. First, you teach me to shoot properly. No more running away unarmed. Done. Second, no more secrets. If there's danger, you tell me. You don't lock me in a safe room and handle it alone. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. Agreed. Third dash, I looked him in the eye. You promise me we're done with this life. The violence. The crime. All of it. We walk away clean. Silence. This was the hard one. The one that mattered most. Victor. My heart clenched. Can you do that? Can you walk away? For you. He lifted my hand to his lips, kissed my knuckles. I'd burn my entire empire to the ground. I'm not asking you to burn anything. Just dash. I know what you're asking. He met my eyes. And yes, I can walk away. I will walk away. Because none of it, the power, the money, the control, none of it means anything without you. Relief flooded through me. Then those are my conditions. I have one of my own. What? Victor stood, reaching into his pocket. Pulled out a small velvet box, the same one from before. The ring. He opened it. Marry me, he said. For real this time. Not because I'm forcing you. Not because you're leverage or property or any of the things I told myself you were. He knelt beside the bed. Marry me because you love me. Because we're building something real from this impossible beginning. My throat tightened. That's not a condition. That's a proposal. It's both. His eyes held mine. I need to know you're mine. Really mine. By choice, not circumstance. I'm already yours. I touched his face. I've been yours since the moment you kissed me in that study. Then say yes. I looked at the ring. Remembered the first time he'd put it on my finger. The weight of it. The meaning. It had been a leash then. Now it was a promise. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Victor slid the ring onto my finger, the left one this time, properly. Then he stood, leaned over the hospital bed and kissed me. Soft. Careful of my injuries. But underneath the tenderness I felt everything else. The hunger. The devotion. The absolute certainty that he would never let me go. And for the first time since this all started, I didn't want him to. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. I love you, he said. Even when I shouldn't. Even when it's complicated. Even when it's impossible. Especially then, I said. He smiled. Kissed me again. And just as I was sinking into the warmth of him, into the promise of our future, the door burst open. We both jerked back as a woman strode in, tall, elegant, furious. He looked like Victor. Same dark hair. Same sharp features. But female and somehow more terrifying. Victor Raphael Blackwell, she said, her voice cutting. You have 30 seconds to explain why I had to learn about my brother getting shot at from the news. Victor closed his eyes. Cassandra. Don't you Cassandra me. She advanced on him, ignoring me entirely. You disappear for a week. Don't answer calls. Don't send updates. And then I see reports of a shootout at the shipping terminal with your name attached dash. I can explain dash. You'd better. Her eyes finally landed on me. Cessed. Calculated. And who is this? Victor straightened. Took my hand. This is Elena. My fiancée. Cassandra's eyebrows rose. You're what? My fiancée, he repeated firmly. The woman I'm going to marry. The woman I'm leaving everything for. Silence. Cassandra looked between us. Then slowly a smile spread across her face. Not warm exactly, but not hostile either. Well, she said. This should be interesting. Chapter 8. Cassandra Blackwell didn't leave. Instead, she settled into the chair Victor had vacated, crossed her legs with elegant precision, and studied me like I was a puzzle she needed to solve. So, she said, Elena, tell me, how exactly did you meet my brother? Victor tensed beside me. Cassandra dash. I'm asking her, not you. She didn't look away from me. Go on. I'm curious. I could feel Victor's silent plea to lie. To make this sound normal. Romantic even. But I was tired of lies. He kidnapped me, I said quietly. To get revenge on my father. Cassandra blinked. Once. Twice. Then she threw her head back and laughed. Oh my God, she gasped between laughs. Oh my God, you actually did it. You actually went through with that insane plan. She wiped her eyes, still chuckling. I told him he was being dramatic. Told him to just buy her father's company and be done with it. But no, Victor has to make everything complicated. You knew. I stared at Victor. Your sister knew you were planning to kidnap me? She didn't know the details dash. I knew enough. Cassandra waved her hand. Victor's been obsessed with you for months. Couldn't shut up about the woman at the museum. The one who looked at art like it was sacred. Her eyes softened slightly. Though I'll admit I didn't think you'd actually fall for him. Most people who get kidnapped tend to hold grudges. Most people don't get shot protecting their kidnapper, I said dryly. Fair point. She leaned forward. So, you love him? Idol. Why? The question caught me off guard. Victor shifted uncomfortably. Because I searched for words. Because underneath the control and the violence, there's someone who cares so much it terrifies him. Someone who thinks he doesn't deserve softness, so he doesn't ask for it. I looked at Victor. Someone worth fighting for. Cassandra studied me for a long moment. Then she stood, walked to Victor and slapped him across the face. That's for being an idiot, she said. Then she hugged him. And that's for finally finding someone who sees you. Victor returned the embrace stiffly. I've missed you too. Don't get sentimental on me now. She pulled back, smoothing her dress. We have work to do. If you're really leaving, and I assume you are, given that dramatic declaration, we need to transition your holdings. Transfer assets. Make it look legitimate. I don't care about legitimate, Victor said. Sell it all. Burn it down. Whatever. Victor, you've built an empire dash. I've built a prison. He moved back to my bedside, took my hand. And I'm done living in it. Something flickered across Cassandra's face. Understanding maybe. Or envy. All right, she said quietly. Then we'll do it clean. I'll handle the business side. You focus on dash, she gestured at me. This. Whatever this is. Thank you. She nodded once. Then her expression shifted back to business. There are some loose ends to tie up. Romano's organization is in chaos. His lieutenants are scrambling for control. We could move and take over dash. No. Victor's voice was firm. Let them fight amongst themselves. We're out. But the opportunity dash. I said no. He met his sister's eyes. It ends here. All of it. Cassandra sighed. You're really doing this? I am. Then I suppose dash. She picked up her purse, headed for the door. Paused in the doorway. I suppose I should say congratulations. On the engagement. Thank you, I said. And Cassandra? She looked back. Take care of him. Until I can. Her expression softened. Already planning to, darling. Already planning to. She left, her heels clicking against the hospital floor, leaving us alone in the sudden quiet. Victor exhaled heavily. That went better than expected. She hit you. She's done worse. He rubbed his jaw. When we were kids, she once broke my nose for stealing her diary. Did you read it? Of course I did. A ghost of a smile. I'm a terrible brother. But she loves you anyway. Unfortunately for her, yes. He brought my hand to his lips, kissed my palm. Are you tired? You should rest. I've been resting for 18 hours. I shifted carefully, testing my shoulder. Pain but manageable. I want to know what happens next. After we leave here. We disappear. He said it simply. Like it was the easiest thing in the world. I have properties that aren't connected to my name. Money in accounts nobody can trace. We pick one wherever you want and we start over. Just like that. Just like that. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. Unless you'd rather stay? Try to salvage what's left of your old life. I thought about my apartment. My job at the gallery. The life I'd been living before Victor crashed into it. It felt like remembering someone else's life. No, I said. There's nothing left for me here. My father's gone. The gallery will replace me. And I squeezed his hand. I want to go with you. Where? I don't know. Somewhere with a view. Somewhere quiet. I smiled. Somewhere with a good art museum. I'll make sure of it. He leaned in, kissed my forehead. We'll find you the best museum in whatever city you choose. You can spend every day there if you want. And what will you do? Watch you. His voice dropped. The way I've been wanting to watch you for months. Without hiding. Without restraint. Just watching. Heat curled in my stomach despite the pain medication. That sounds stalkerish. I prefer devoted. You would. He kissed me then slow, deep, thorough. Like he had all the time in the world and planned to use every second of it. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. I need to tell you something, he said quietly. My heart skipped. What? Your father. He took a breath. He didn't just steal information from me. He stole something else. Something I need to tell you about before we leave. Ice crept down my spine. What did he steal? Evidence. Of my illegal activities. Enough to put me away for 20 years. His jaw tightened. That's why Romano killed him. Not just because of the information he sold. But because he refused to give up the evidence. Refused to tell Romano where he'd hidden it. I processed this slowly. My father protected you. In his own way, yes. Victor's eyes searched mine. I think toward the end he realized what I meant to you. What you meant to me. And he chose to die rather than destroy that. Tears burned my eyes. He was trying to make up for selling me. Maybe. Victor wiped a tear from my cheek. Or maybe he was just trying to be a better father. Even if it was too late. Do you think my voice cracked. Do you think he knew? That I loved you? I think fathers always know. He pulled me carefully into his arms, mindful of my shoulder. I think he died knowing you'd be safe. That you'd be loved. And maybe for a man like him that was enough. I cried then. For my father. For all the complicated, painful, impossible love between us. For the sacrifice he'd made when I'd thought him incapable of sacrifice. Victor held me through it all. His hands steady. His voice soft. It's okay, he murmured. Let it out. I've got you. Eventually the tears subsided. Leaving behind exhaustion and something else. Something lighter. Peace maybe. Or the beginning of it. Where's the evidence now? I asked, my voice muffled against his chest. Still hidden. Wherever your father put it. Victor stroked my hair. But I don't care about finding it. Let it stay lost. I'm done with that life anyway. But if someone else finds it then we'll deal with it together. He pulled back to look at me. No more secrets, remember? That was your condition. Our condition, I corrected. We're in this together now. Together. He tested the word. Smiled. I like the sound of that. A nurse entered, clipboard in hand, and cleared her throat. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to check Miss Hartley's vitals. Victor reluctantly moved aside. The nurse worked efficiently, checking my blood pressure, temperature, examining my shoulder dressing. Healing well, she pronounced. Doctor says you can probably go home in a couple days. As long as you take it easy. Thank you, I said. She left and Victor retook his position beside me. 2 days, he said. Then we're free. Where will we go first? I have a house in the south of France. Provence. Quiet. Private. Surrounded by lavender fields. His eyes grew distant. I bought it years ago thinking I'd retire there someday. Never thought I'd actually do it. It sounds perfect. It will be. He kissed my hand. With you there it will be. Over the next 48 hours I watched Victor transform. The dangerous man who'd kidnapped me, the one who moved through shadows and violence with ease, slowly faded. In his place someone softer emerged. Someone who smiled more. Laughed occasionally. Looked at me like I'd given him something he'd never had before. Hope. Cassandra visited twice more, bringing paperwork for Victor to sign. Transfers of assets. Liquidation orders. The dismantling of an empire, all reduced to signatures on dotted lines. Marcus came once, arm in a sling, to say goodbye. You're really doing it, he said, studying Victor. Walking away. I am. Never thought I'd see the day. Marcus extended his good hand. It's been an honor, boss. Something unspoken passing between them. Then Marcus turned to me. Take care of him. He's an idiot, but he's a good man underneath all the dash, he gestured vaguely. Everything. I will, I promised. After Marcus left, Victor stood by the window watching the city below. Are you having second thoughts? I asked quietly. No. He turned to face me. But I am thinking about what I'm leaving behind. The people. The responsibility. They'll be okay without you. I know. He crossed back to me, sat on the edge of the bed. It's just strange. I spent so long building something I thought mattered. And now Now you're building something that actually does. He smiled. When did you get so wise? Probably around the time I got shot. I tugged him closer. Come here. I need to practice kissing my fiancé. Practice. His eyebrow arched. You seemed pretty proficient before. Maybe I just need the reminder that this is real. I cupped his face. That you're real. That we're getting our happy ending. We are. He kissed me softly. I promise you, Elena Hartley. We're getting everything we deserve. On the morning of my discharge, Cassandra arrived with a gift. For you, she said, handing me a small envelope. Consider it a wedding present. Early. Inside was a deed. To a villa in Provence. Victor's house, Cassandra explained. I transferred it to your name. Legally it's yours. No ties to his past. No way to trace it back. I can't accept this dash. You can and you will. Her tone brooked no argument. Victor needs a clean break. And you need security. This way you have both. Thank you, I said quietly. For everything. Don't thank me yet. She smiled. I plan to visit. Extensively. I need someone to keep my brother from becoming completely domestic. I think that's exactly what he needs to become. Perhaps. She kissed my cheek, surprising both of us. But either way, I'm glad he found you. Even if his methods were criminally insane. After she left, Victor helped me into the wheelchair the hospital required. Even though I could walk now, they insisted on protocol. Ready? He asked. I looked around the hospital room one last time. This space had held so much pain, fear, love, promises. The end of one life and the beginning of another. I'm ready, I said. Take me home. He wheeled me toward the elevator. Toward the exit. Toward freedom. And as we passed through those doors into the bright morning sun, I realized something. I wasn't walking away from my old life. I was running toward my new one. With the man who'd stolen me, saved me, and somehow impossibly loved me. The man I loved back. Epilogue. 6 months later. The lavender blooms in waves. Purple and silver green, stretching across the hillside like a painted canvas. The scent hangs heavy in the afternoon air, sweet, herbal, intoxicating. I close my eyes and breathe it in, letting the Provençal sun warm my face. You're going to burn. Victor's voice drifts from the terrace behind me. I turn to find him leaning against the stone doorframe, holding 2 glasses of wine. He's barefoot, wearing linen pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His dark hair is longer now, falling across his forehead in a way that makes him look younger. Softer. Happy. Then come put sunscreen on me, I say, patting the blanket I've spread in the garden. He crosses the lawn, our lawn, and settles beside me, handing me a glass. The wine is local. From a vineyard 3 kilometers down the road where the owner, Claude, insists on calling us Les Nouveaux Mariés, even though we've been married for 4 months now. How's the painting? Victor nods toward the easel I've set up near the lavender. Terrible. I laugh. I'm trying to capture the way the light hits the flowers at this angle, but it keeps changing. Then paint it changing. He takes a sip of wine. Nothing worthwhile stays still. I study him for a moment. This version of Victor Blackwell, relaxed, philosophical, content still catches me off guard sometimes. Like I'm witnessing something rare. Something precious. What? He catches me staring. Nothing. I lean into him. Just memorizing you. Haven't you memorized me by now? His arm comes around my waist, pulling me closer. Not this version. I trace the line of his jaw. This version is new. He's quiet for a moment. Then, do you miss it? Your old life. It's not the first time he's asked. Probably won't be the last. No, I say honestly. I miss the gallery sometimes. The art. But we have that here. I gesture toward the villa cream stone and terracotta tiles, windows thrown open to catch the breeze. Inside, our walls are covered with paintings. Some from galleries. Some I've done myself. And my father? Victor asks quietly. Do you regret Dash? No. I cut him off. I regret how it happened. I regret not having more time with him. But I don't regret this. Us. I turn to face him fully. Do you? Never. He cups my face. Not for a single moment. He kisses me, then slow and thorough and tasting of wine in summer. When we break apart, he rests his forehead against mine. I have something for you, he murmurs. Victor, you just gave me a new easel last week. Dash. It's not that kind of gift. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out an envelope. Old. Worn. I found this in your father's office. When Cassandra was handling the estate sale. My breath catches. My father's handwriting on the front. Addressed to me. Have you read it? I ask. No. He presses it into my hands. It's yours. Private. I turn the envelope over. The seal is broken, probably from whoever sorted through his belongings, but otherwise intact. I should wait. Process this privately. But Victor has given me privacy. Given me space. Given me every choice when for so long I had none. I don't want to shut him out. Stay with me while I read it? I ask. Always. I open the envelope. Inside, a single sheet of paper covered in my father's cramped handwriting. Elena. If you're reading this, then I've managed to do something right, for once kept you safe, even if it cost me everything. I'm not good with words. Never have been. But I need you to know some things before I'm gone. I was wrong. About so many things. About what mattered. About what you deserved. I treated you like a pawn when you were always meant to be a queen. Victor Blackwell came to me 3 months ago with a deal. He knew about my debts. About the information I'd stolen. He could have destroyed me then. Instead, he offered a different arrangement. He wanted you. Not as revenge. Not as leverage. He wanted you because he loved you. Had loved you from a distance for months. And he knew, like I knew, that I was drowning. That I would drag you down with me if he didn't intervene. So we made a deal. I would give him the information. He would give me money to settle some debts. And when the time was right, he would take you somewhere I couldn't hurt you anymore. I know how it looked. Like I sold you. Like I betrayed you. But Elena, I was setting you free. I knew you'd hate me. I accepted that. Better you hate me and live than love me and die in the wreckage I was creating. By now you probably know Victor isn't the monster he pretends to be. He's a man who understands that the people we love are worth any price. Any sacrifice. He'll take care of you. Better than I ever could. Be happy, sweetheart. You deserve it. Dad. The paper trembles in my hands. Elena. Victor's voice concerned. What does it say? I hand him the letter. Watch his expression change as he reads. Sock. Understanding. Something that might be grief. He knew, Victor says quietly. He knew I loved you. Did you? Dash. My throat tightens. Did you really go to him? Make that deal? Yes. He sets the letter down carefully. I told you I've been watching you for months. Planning. But I wasn't planning to kidnap you, Elena. I was planning to save you. From my father. From the life he was dragging you into. From the debt collectors and rivals who would have used you to get to him. Victor's jaw tightens. I offered him a way out. Money. Protection. All he had to do was let you go. And he said yes. Eventually. Victor looks away. We argued about it. He didn't want to give you up, not out of love exactly, but out of pride. You were his daughter. His property in his mind. But I made him understand something. What? That the only way to protect you was to let me protect you. That his world was collapsing, and you'd be crushed in the rubble if he didn't act. I processed this slowly, reframing everything I thought I knew. My father hadn't sold me in a moment of desperation. He'd made a calculated choice. Given me to Victor knowing exactly who Victor was and what he wanted. The kidnapping I start. Was theater. Victor takes my hand. We had to make it look real. For Romano. For your father's enemies. If anyone suspected you left willingly, you'd have been a target. But if you were taken, if you were clearly a victim, you were safe. So the contract. The blackmail. All of it all staged. He lifts my hand to his lips. Except for one thing. What? My feelings. His eyes meet mine. Those were never pretend. From the first moment I saw you, I wanted you. Needed you. Loved you. He takes a shaky breath. Everything else, the plan, the performance, that was to keep you safe. But what I felt, that was the most real thing I've ever experienced. Tears stream down my face. Not from sadness. From the overwhelming weight of understanding. He did love me, I whisper. In his way. He did. Victor wipes my tears. And he knew I'd love you better. I lean into him, letting him hold me while I cry. For my father. For the sacrifice he made. For the love he showed in the only way he knew how. Eventually the tears subside. Leaving behind something lighter. Something like forgiveness. Thank you, I say quietly. For telling me the truth. Always. He kisses my temple. No more secrets. Remember. No more secrets. We sit in the lavender field until the sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. The colors I've been trying to capture on canvas all day. Tomorrow, Victor says, we're going into Avignon. There's a gallery opening. New artist. Established. But showing pieces she's never displayed before. Private collection. He glances at me. Cassandra mentioned you might be interested. Your sister keeps tabs on art shows? My sister keeps tabs on everything. He stands, offering his hand. But she particularly keeps tabs on things that might make you happy. I let him pull me up. My shoulder twinges, it still does sometimes when the weather changes or I move wrong. A permanent reminder of that night. That choice. Victor notices my wince. Are you ? I'm fine. I squeeze his hand. Just ghosts. Do they bother you? I look at him. At the villa behind us. At the lavender swaying in the evening breeze. At the life we've built from the broken, impossible beginning. No, I say. Not anymore. That night we make love in the bedroom with the windows open. Fully. Thoroughly. Like we have all the time in the world, because we do. Afterward, Victor traces the scar on my shoulder with his fingertips. I still have nightmares about this, he admits. About losing you. But you didn't lose me. I almost did. His hand stills. If that bullet had been 2 inches to the right . I catch his hand. Bring it to my lips. But it wasn't. I'm here. We're here. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never take a bullet for me again. His voice breaks slightly. I can't. I won't survive watching you bleed out a second time. I can't promise that. I turn to face him. If you're in danger, I'll always . Elena. No. I press my fingers to his lips. Listen to me. I spent my whole life being protected. Being kept safe. Being treated like something fragile that needed handling. I move his hand to my heart. But I'm not fragile. And I'm not going to stand aside while the man I love faces danger alone. So no, I won't promise that. I won't lie to you. He stares at me for a long moment. Then impossibly he smiles. You're infuriating. You're one to talk. And stubborn. Learned from the best. He pulls me closer, kissing me until I'm breathless. When he pulls back, his eyes are soft. Vulnerable. I love you, he says. Even when you're being impossible. Especially then, I correct. We fall asleep tangled together, the scent of lavender drifting through the window. 3 years later. The gallery is packed. People mill around the stark white space, champagne glasses in hand, admiring the paintings on the walls. My paintings. I stand in the corner trying not to hyperventilate while Victor keeps a protective hand on my lower back. Breathe, he murmurs. They love them. You don't know that. Idol. Look. He nods toward a painting of lavender fields at sunset. There's a small red dot beside it. Zolt. That's the 5th one tonight. It is. My voice comes out squeaky. It is. He kisses my temple. I told you. You're talented. You're biased. Extremely. But also correct. A woman approaches mid-50s, elegant, carrying herself with the air of someone who knows art. Elena Hartley. I nod, suddenly shy. Your work is extraordinary. She extends her hand. I'm Marion Duval. I own a gallery in Paris. I'd love to discuss a show there. Something larger. More comprehensive. My brain short-circuits. What? Victor squeezes my hand. She'd be delighted to discuss it. Here's her card. He smoothly exchanges information with Marion while I try to remember how to form words. When she finally walks away, I turn to him. Did that just happen? It did. His smile is proud. Genuine. You're about to be very successful, wife. I don't need to be successful. I just need dash. What? I look around the gallery. At my paintings on the walls. At Victor beside me. At the life we've built. This, I say simply. I just need this. Later that night we walk along the Seine, my hand in his. Cassandra called, Victor says. She wants to know when we're visiting. What did you tell her? That you're busy being a famous artist now. You can't just drop everything. I'm not famous. Not yet. He pulls me closer. But you will be. And I'll be there watching from the sidelines. Proud as hell. You could never be on the sidelines. I lean into him. You're too involved. Too present. Is that a complaint? Never. I stop walking, turn to face him. Victor. Yes. Thank you. For what? For choosing me. For saving me. For loving me. I cup his face. For giving me a life worth living. His eyes grow suspiciously bright. Elena. I know we started wrong. I know it was messy and complicated and probably traumatic in ways we're both still processing. I smile. But I wouldn't change it. Any of it. Because it gave me you. He kisses me there under the Parisian streetlights, while the Seine flows by and the city sparkles around us. When we finally break apart, he rests his forehead against mine. You know what the best part is? He murmurs. What? We're just beginning. He pulls back to look at me. We have years ahead of us. Decades. A whole lifetime of moments like this. Promise. I promise. He takes my hand, the one with the ring that's never left my finger since that hospital room. Forever, Elena. You and me. Forever, I out. You and me. We walk back to our hotel hand in hand, two people who found each other in the worst possible way and somehow made it work anyway. Because that's what love is, I've learned. Not perfect. Not easy. Not uncomplicated. But real. Enduring. Worth fighting for. Worth everything. The